Hello everyone, and welcome to my first ever patron video. This probably isn't very exciting for you, but it's exciting for me. I'm going to be unboxing, or rather unbagging, some of the patterns that I purchased for my Sewing Through the Decades project. I don't know which ones these are, and I don't know what condition they're going to be in, so I'm excited to see what I got and share them with you. Hopefully everything is set up okay. I'm going to move these out of the way so you don't see my address. And we shall get started with this one. Now, though I did order all of these and I obviously looked through the descriptions ahead of time, I haven't been keeping up with which ones are being shipped when, so I have no idea which ones have arrived. Okay, so this one is for the Advance 7944 wraparound skirt, which I'm going to be using for the year of 1950. And that came really cutely packaged. Yay! Okay, so this is what this one looks like. So this is a relatively full skirt made by Advance, and it is supposed to be a very easy pattern to follow. It's for a 26-inch waist, so I will have to make some slight alterations, or I'll have to wear this over a corset or waist cincher, which wouldn't really be inaccurate for the period. I picked this one because I thought it fell nicely between the very slim cut hobble skirts, which were incredibly popular in the 1950s, probably even more popular than the very full cupcake skirts that we're used to seeing, but it does have some similarities to those very full skirts as well. So I thought this was a nice compromise between the two very popular styles, and still a good representation of the 1950s in general. Next up is this one. So this is a 1940s blouse pattern. Wow, that is super delicate. This is in a size 16, which is a 34-inch bust. I think I was drawn to this mostly because of the prints and the colors on the cover, which isn't the best thing in the world. But I also liked the little epaulette at the shoulder and how the gathers fall down from that. I thought that was a very interesting 1940s-ish construction detail, and of course this features the shoulder pads that were all too common back then. I'm not sure which one of these styles I will follow. I might let you guys vote. I personally love this one, but I feel like these two are more practical, so we'll have to see. And I purchased this one on eBay, and it was relatively inexpensive. It was like $4 or so. That is one of 3 1940s patterns I purchased. I also purchased a pants pattern and a dress pattern. I think of the dress being more the stereotypical 1940s, so that's the one that I'm leaning towards following. But I also really wanted to do a blouse and pants combo at some point throughout this video, especially one from the earlier years, since that's not something you'll usually see represented. So I might end up doing 2 patterns for the 1940s, or 3, since it would be a blouse, a pant, and a dress, if I manage to get the funding that would allow me to do that. Oh good, so I have 2 in this one. So these 2 are for the 1990s. I picked one of the tapered pants patterns because I thought that was really unique to this period and potentially also wearable for me. I really like high-waisted pants, and since I'm tall, it's quite difficult to find ones in stores that fit me. I don't know how flattering this tapered style will be, but it might be worth a try. I also purchased this blouse pattern, which has a few different variations. I really like this one. It's such a nice secretary blouse, but I feel like this or this might be more typically 1990s. So again, I might let you guys choose which style to follow, but this is the 90s, so it's a ways off. We have 10 or 9 videos that will go before this. I'm so nervous to open this one. It's like really strongly taped and I don't want to cut into the pattern. My goodness. Isn't quite as elegantly packaged as some of the others. So this is the other 1940s pattern that I purchased. It is a Hollywood pattern, so it's based off of a dress from a film. This is Brenda Marshall's wardrobe from South of Sue's. I just really liked this. To me, this has all of the very typical 1940s dress features. It has the relatively intricate seaming around the shoulders, the lightly puffed sleeves, the plackets and the buttons and the collar, and those very strong military detailing. It has shoulder pads, and then it has a relatively slim bias cut skirt. In my mind, this is the epitome of 1940s fashion. Which is why I really wanted to get a dress pattern from this period, but I do love the pants and blouse combos from this period as well. So this is in a size 14, which has a 32-inch bust, which is kind of tiny, but I feel like the pleats in this are going to make it quite generously sized in the bust, and I can always take it out and grade it up a little bit if I have to. So that is today's haul. It's almost a quarter of the patterns I ordered, and hopefully these will continue to arrive consistently over the next couple of days and weeks, and I'll continue to show you them and also try and document some of the fabric purchasing process. And of course you will see the sewing process and videos and progress photos later on. So it's now the next day and I had 3 more patterns arrive today, or what I assume are patterns. So I'm going to open these up for you guys. And today you're sitting on the dust cover for a sewing machine and quite precariously balanced. So hopefully the camera will stay in position as I do this. So this is the pattern for the 1980s. This was one of the first patterns I saw and added to my cart. I just thought it was so funny. I don't know, just something about the silhouette is so different from what we would wear today, and it's crazy to me that this was being worn 20 or 30 years ago. I also like the detailing of this with the bow and the collar and the pleats and the structuring. It sort of vaguely reminds me of the 1940s, but with a very different, much wider silhouette. So I thought this would be a fun thing to make, and it also has the potential to be wearable if I make it a little bit shorter. Hopefully it won't look too ridiculous. Can I just say that these are really stressful to open because I don't want to cut through the pattern. I'm used to like opening up figurines where it's kind of obvious what you're getting into. But with this, it's all paper. Okay, so this is one of the two 70s patterns I picked up. I couldn't decide between the two since I much prefer the design of this one, but I think the other one looks more stereotypically 1970s. I asked my mom, who's a child of the 70s, and she agreed with me. So I decided to get them both since they're relatively inexpensive, and maybe I will make them both depending on how successful this project is. I really love the high-waisted wide leg pants. I thought those were fun. And I also love the military style detailing and the large collar on the dress. So I'm really kind of excited to make this, even if I end up making it far in the future as a personal project, as opposed to part of this series. And this is one of the few that is actually in my size, which is nice. Okay, so this is another one that I picked up that might not be for the project, but I saw this and I just fell in love. This is a 1960s pattern, and I just loved how wide and ridiculous the pants were, and I also loved the bodice. It kind of reminds me of one I made on a dress out of curtains several years ago. This was just so fun. Like, I don't go to the beach, but I think if I had an outfit like this, I would want to go to the beach, and I want to make clothing that makes me feel that way. So I picked this up. I do have a more typical office wear style of 1960s dress, which is very Jackie O, and I think more appropriate as representing the period as a whole, but this just looked so fun and it was really cheap, so I decided to get it as well. And those are the three that I have to share today. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully, with more patterns, and whenever that fabric arrives, I will do a separate video on that because I'm pretty excited to share all of my choices with you as well. Another day has passed and 3 more patterns have arrived. I'm a little bit concerned about these because this top one feels like it has a tumor here. I'm not really sure what's going on, so I hope it didn't get crumpled in the mail. And then this one just seems very flimsy and pitiful, so I hope it isn't too damaged inside. I think I'm going to start with this one since it's what I'm worried about most. I did pay $3 or $4 of shipping on this, so I'm not sure why it was mailed as a letter as opposed to a parcel. Oh, but it is very neatly wrapped inside. That's pretty. Now I feel bad for what I said because it's wrapped in tissue paper and it's really cute. So this is actually the pattern that I paid the most for. I believe it was $35, and it is a McCall skirt pattern with a 26-inch waist, and it was, I believe, patented in 1907. I purchased this for the Edwardian design that I'm doing for 1900. It's a full-length skirt with pleats, and I'm just really excited to follow this. Patterns from this period were also unmarked, so I think doing the pleats and such might be kind of tricky, but hopefully that's indicated in some way, whether it's in notches or whatever. I'll open the one with the tumor next. The tumor was a crumpled up piece of paper, which is kind of bizarre. This one is also very nicely packaged. So this is the 1950s blouse pattern. I purchased this to go with 2 different skirt patterns. I bought both a wiggle skirt pattern and an A-line skirt, which I believe I showed earlier in this video. I looked long and hard for some cute blouse patterns in my size. Most of them were by a brand that is a competitor to McCalls, and since I have non-compete, I am trying to avoid using those. But I did eventually come across this one. It's been partially cut out, but it was a very reasonable price, and I love this bow detailing on this one. I think that's really cute without being too formal. And then this one is by far the best packaged out of these 3. Ah, just what I wanted. Brand flakes. This is a pattern that I'm going to use for 1910. It was actually copyrighted in 1907, but I feel like this style is very typical for the 19s, and it was one of the few ones I could find in this style in my size. Unfortunately, the one that I originally purchased, which I liked a little bit better, my order ended up getting canceled because they couldn't find the pattern. So I purchased this one instead, and it was a little bit more expensive, but it is closer to my size, so that's nice. And I have already purchased the material for this. It's a beautiful brown wool suiting. This one is also uncut, whereas the one that I previously purchased was cut out. So that's kind of cool. All of these pieces are going to be unprinted. Patterns didn't start becoming printed until much later on. The tissue paper actually feels surprisingly hardy considering how old this is. I am going to go through this and make sure that all the pieces are present. I'm going to try and open them up as little as possible because I don't want to damage them, but there aren't that many pieces in this, so it should be pretty easy to check. So that is everything that I received in the mail today, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow or the next day, depending on when more patterns arrive. So I just got a pattern in the mail, and I realized it's a little bit silly to just do this for one pattern, but I am super impatient, so it's happening. Okay, so this is, will it focus? So this is the McCall pattern for the shirtwaist. I'm really excited about this one, and now that I have this and the skirt pattern, that means I can get started on the first piece for this project, so I'm so excited. The back of this has pretty much the exact same format as the skirt pattern, and there's supposed to be 9 pieces in here. This appears to still be factory folded. Wow, that is super duper delicate. So I'm just going to trust that this is factory folded and that all of the pieces are intact. It would be very difficult to get it back into this condition if it wasn't. The envelope here has pretty much just completely deteriorated. I don't know if you can see all the little flakes coming off. I don't know if this happened during shipping or if it was stored in this plastic bag for like many years, but as you can see, just all of the little bits of paper that have just disappeared. So very, very delicate. You're gonna tread super carefully with this. It seems like the paper is in much worse condition than the tissue, which is kind of interesting because I think of the paper being a lot more robust than the tissue. Hello everyone, so it is currently a Saturday and I have a commission I need to finish up today and I'm really stressed about it, but I'm going to take a minute to open up these. So next to the one that I opened up yesterday, this is definitely the most delicate and in the most fragile condition. I am going to go through this one and make sure that all of the pieces are there because based on the condition of the envelope, I'm not super confident. But this is the pattern that I picked for the 1920s dress. I really liked this one because it has the very iconic drop waist silhouette, but it also has some detailing around the collar and pleats down the front. So it isn't quite as boring as some of the dresses of this style, which I think will make it more fun to make and hopefully more fun to watch me make. But I do have to ensure that all of the pieces are there. And this is actually a 38-inch bust pattern, so it's relatively large by early 20th century standards. So this is the only other really old pattern that I was waiting on. This one is also from 1907 if I'm correct. And this is also in very fragile condition. I loved the design of this. I just thought it was a very classic late Edwardian dress and I thought it would be a lot of fun to make. I don't know how well this actually fits in with the project. I have already purchased 2 patterns for 1900 and I have one for the 1910s, which I feel like is a better representation of the teens, whereas this is somewhere in the middle. So I'm not sure if this is going to be a bonus project or what, but I definitely want to follow this pattern in the future. I think it's a really, really nice design. So I have to go through this one as well to make sure that all of the pieces are there. I think this pattern came to around $33 including shipping, which is one of the reasons I'm so concerned about it being intact. This one has a cute little note, which is nice. This is the 1960s pattern that I purchased. You guys have already seen the Culottes pattern that I bought, which is also for the 1960s, but I wanted a more traditional 1960s style, and this is very iconic to me. This is what I think of Jackie O wearing with a little pillbox hat. That's definitely what I was interested in when pursuing patterns. I really want to make this middle design with the dress and blouse kind of combined and all made out of the same fabric. I purchased a really pretty pink suiting for that and I think it's going to be lovely. And now that I have these guys, all I'm waiting on is the 1930s pattern, the secondary 1950s pattern, and the 1940s pants pattern. And I think that's it. So I had a good mail day today. I ended up getting 2 patterns, which I think are the final patterns that I've ordered. I still want to order a romper pattern that I can use for the goldfish fabric that I purchased, and I also need to purchase the pattern for the 2000s, but I believe these are the final ones that I've ordered this far and provide me with all the patterns I need to make everything from 1900 to 1990, which is awesome. I also got my shoulder pads in the mail today. I ordered these from Etsy. I'll leave a link to the seller in the description box down below. These are about 1/2 inch thick, and I purchased 6 pairs of them, I think, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to layer these to get the necessary amount of volume for some of these pieces. Now onto what this video is actually about, the patterns. One of these is from California and one of them is from Canada. And I don't want you guys to see my address, but it's got lots of cute stickers on it, which I definitely appreciate. Whenever I see things that are postmarked CA, it makes me think of the abbreviation for Canada, which is so stupid because when they ship things from Canada, they have the shortened form of the province's name, not the country. So I don't know why I always think that, but every time I see something is shipping from CA, I instantly think Canada as opposed to California. So this is the pattern I purchased for the 1970s. I actually ordered 2, but I think this is the one that I'm going to follow, and I picked a really cool floral fabric for it. When I showed my mom this pattern, she said, "I'm pretty sure I made that dress when I was your age," which I thought was kind of funny. But this is a empire waisted, relatively short dress, and I just thought it was really cute and it'd be really fun and hopefully quite easy to make. And I'm not sure what condition this is in, if it was uncut or not. When I say it that way, it sounds kind of dirty. There were actually a lot of patterns from the 70s that I really liked. I just think the silhouettes and the shapes and stuff were really fun, and it would be neat to try and make them out of modern materials. So if you're interested in that, again, that could become a bonus project for this series. That's definitely something that I'd be enthusiastic about if I had the means to pursue it. I have no idea what this is. Oh, okay. Wow, these are incredibly delicate, but here I have the dress pattern that I purchased for the 1930s. I was very particular about the 1930s pattern that I wanted. I think of the 40s being very structured with all of their pleats and top stitching, and I think of the 30s having more ruffles and flounces and similar sort of silhouettes, but a little bit less structure, or looser structure I suppose would be a better term. So the one that I originally wanted ended up going for too much on eBay, and the other ones that I really liked were near the $30 or $40 mark, which was a little steep for me. So I came across this one for $11, and it's actually in my size. It has a 38-inch bust and 41-inch hips, and I really liked the gathering here and the sleeves. I just thought it was a really cute pattern overall. So I'm really excited to make this one. This says that it requires 3 7/8 yards of fabric, so I really hope that I do everything perfectly and that I end up having enough material. I think I ordered 4 yards for this piece. Then the other pattern in here is a 1950s skirt pattern. This is a very practical work skirt that has a little bit more function to it than the hobble skirts, which were also popular during this period. This was printed by McCalls, and it has a 28-inch waist, which is my size, which is awesome. I just wanted to make this because I knew it would be easy and I thought it represented the 1950s really nicely. So my goal is to make this as well as another skirt that I showed earlier in this video. So that is it for today's haul. I'm really pleased with the designs of all of these pieces. I just have to make sure that all of the pattern pieces are there. Alright, so it's another day and 2 more patterns have arrived. I think after this I probably only have 2 more left to come, which is sort of exciting and disappointing because I've really enjoyed getting these in the mail every day. Feels like a little present to myself. Also, I want to update you on this pattern that came the other day. This is one of the more expensive patterns I purchased. It was around $33 including shipping, and it is missing half of the pieces. There's supposed to be 12 pieces and it only has 6, plus 2 pieces that belong to a different pattern, plus 2 pieces that are homemade and also belong to a different pattern. So that's kind of disappointing, and hopefully I can get my money back for that one because it's virtually useless to me. Anyway, I'm gonna go through these 2. I don't know which ones they are, so this should be exciting. This person actually sent a little card with it that says thank you and that I hope you enjoy, and her handwriting is so pretty. I think she's better at writing my name than I am at writing my name, and I'm a little bit jealous. So this is the 1950s dress pattern that I purchased. I looked at so many different 1950s patterns and eventually I decided to do the skirt and the blouse, but I did want to do a more traditional dress too, and I love the detailing on this piece. It has that shirtwaist style and the flowy skirt, which was very popular during this period, but what makes it a little bit unique is all of this pleated detailing on the top of the skirt as well as the bodice. I just thought that was really nice and really interesting, and that would be fun to try and take on. So I purchased that as a little bonus project, which I'm excited about. The next one I already pulled out of the sleeve, and it is a 1940s pants pattern. I have quite the story about this pattern. I originally found a 28-inch waist shorts pattern that I was in love with, but I ended up losing the auction. There was someone who was fighting quite hard for it, and it just went a little bit above what I was willing to pay. And I figured it would be pretty easy to find a replacement, but all the other ones that I liked were 4 times the price, like closer to $30 or $40 than the 10 or 20 that I was willing to pay. And then I found one on Etsy that I liked and I added it to my cart. And I went to check out later that evening when I had my credit card on me, and someone else had purchased it. So after a lot of searching, I found another one that was passable. I don't like this one as much either in design or sizing. This is made for a 26-inch waist and I'm definitely a 28, but I was probably gonna have to let the 28-inch pattern out anyway since I have relatively large hips. So it shouldn't be a major alteration for this. I'm just so annoyed that I lost out on the other two that I liked more. And I probably could have waited and found something better, but it's kind of tedious searching Etsy and eBay for patterns, and I wanted to have all of these before I got started. I'm still waiting on a couple patterns, but we're almost at the end of this video, so I will report back in a couple days when I have a few more to share, and then I can get started on the actual sewing. So I'm excited to announce that with this package, I now have the patterns I need for every single decade in this project, as well as a couple of extras. I ended up purchasing all of the patterns for the 2000s from a single seller who was called Busy Beaver Boutique, and they are located in Canada, so this package took a little while to arrive. It also took me a little while to select the patterns for the 2000s. I wanted to go very Lizzie McGuire at the beginning of Disney Channel with it because that is what I associate with early 2000s fashion, since that was the way I desperately wanted to dress in my childhood. Here's what was in that package. As I said, with the 2000s, I wanted to go very Disney Channel with it. When I think of early 2000s fashion, I think of Lizzie McGuire and the fun sort of mid-rise pants with button-down camisoles and fun colors and sometimes a little wrap over top of it. So I actually purchased 3 patterns for this period, and then I got a bonus pattern from the same seller just because I thought it looked like a lot of fun. So the pattern on top here is a pants pattern, and this has the mid-rise shape that I was talking about with the slight boot cut, which I might exaggerate a little bit more depending on how I'm feeling. This is for the top of the 2000s project, and it's exactly what I had in mind with the spaghetti strap princess seamed camisole with buttons down the front. So I think this is a good representation of the period and will be a fun and easy thing to make. Unfortunately, this is in size 18, 20, 22, so I'm definitely gonna have to size it down. Then the final pattern is just something to go on top of this, and this makes me think of Hannah Montana and how she used to always have those cardigans worn on top of things. They were made out of sparkly fabrics. I was always so jealous of those. So this is maybe a later 2000 style, but that's what it made me think of, and that's why I decided to get it. I think these two will perfectly create my Disney Channel fantasies from my earlier years. I know I said the last clip was of the last pattern I purchased for this project, but I lied. I ended up purchasing another 1980s pattern, which is going to replace the one that I showed earlier in this video. The original 1980s pattern is of a dress, and though I really liked it and it kind of inspired this entire project, when I actually thought about constructing it, I wasn't excited about it and I really struggled to find fabrics for it. So when I found this pattern, I thought it was a much better choice for the project and for me. They're pieces I think I'll enjoy the process of making a lot more, which will make for a better video. And they're also pieces I can actually envision myself wearing, which I think is really cool. Alright, so this is the pattern. It is a very easy Vogue pattern, and it is in the 8, 10, 12 size, so it's probably going to lean a little small for me, but this is an oversized style, so I might be able to get away with it without having to do too many alterations. And it was copyrighted in 1988, so it is a true 80s pattern. And I believe it is factory folded, uncut condition, which is great because I need the largest size. And this pattern consists of the jacket with these giant shoulder pads, as well as a pair of elasticated shorts or pants. But yeah, I just really liked this. I thought it was structured in a kind of modern way, but still has those really over-exaggerated 80s features. So I thought this would be a fun one to do, and as I said, it was very inexpensive. I might still change my mind, but when I saw this, I really felt passionate about picking it up, so I'm glad that I did. And that is hopefully the real end for this video. I can't promise that I'm not going to buy more patterns and do more bonus projects or behind the scenes things or end up changing my mind. But right now, these are the patterns I purchased, and I'm relatively confident that I'm going to make all of them. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to all of you guys very soon.